Hello, everybody. Mr. West here again for our weekly assembly and an update on all matters Temple Moor High School. So, this is Thursday evening, but you'll get this on Friday, the 8th of May. As I said to you before, normally I would do it on a Thursday night or move it to the Friday if I thought there was something important going to come out from the Department of Education or government. It's not going to be tomorrow. I think we all know that it's going to be on Sunday at 7 o'clock. I'll talk a little bit about that as we go through this assembly for parents and obviously for students, just to give you a sense of where my thinking is and kind of reflect on where we are as a school and potentially what might happen if and when we reopen. Okay, the first thing I'll talk to you about then is just really some of the work that's going on behind the scenes. I'll just give you a flavour of what we're doing. There's been a lot of staff working on revising our personal development curriculum and having a stronger focus on well-being, welfare and mental health going into the next academic year, because we want confident and competent young people at the school. And we know, as I said last week, that if they're happy and safe and they feel good about themselves and their surroundings, they're gonna thrive and do very well, and that will lead on to greater success as people, not least academic outcomes. So we're doing a lot of work around tweaking our curriculum, and I just want you to be aware of what we're doing. That's really where our energies are currently. We're also engaging with, as leaders of the school, we're also engaging with the staff, trying to get their feedback about what we can do to try and best prepare the school for when you do come back. And then when you are here, what kind of learning or what kind of experiences we need to tweak or change or move away from and get something new in to deal with what we're coming back from. So we're all trying to learn from each other, because we've never been in a situation where we've had a lockdown and we haven't been in the same building all of the time together. And as I said to you last week, the chances of us all being let back in are very, very slim. And I would imagine that many parents will be hesitant and reluctant to send their child back to school, and I completely understand that. And we've got to make sure that the schools are safe as possible in the first instance. And once we've achieved that, and we've got the confidence of parents, and you come back into school, we need to make sure that the experiences that you have are meaningful, even if they are slightly different. And if we can get that, you're going to do really well. And then we can complement it with an improvement to our online remote learning service, if you like. So that's the kind of things we're working on in the background. That's the kind of the bigger picture, and that's the whole of the school, and that's the kind of things that you're going to come back to. Second thing I want to talk about this week is around, I mentioned last week, around phone calls, and I believe that probably by the end of next week, hopefully the week after, certainly the next 10 days, all families will have been contacted by at least one member of the pastoral team or a tutor, a phone call to talk about your welfare and about how you're getting on at home, etc., etc., just to stay in contact with you. And that will continue. So hopefully that's been well received at home. A number of parents have got in touch this week to discuss the opportunities for using Microsoft Teams or Zoom lessons, which they use in some other schools. And I'm aware of what other schools are doing. I'm in contact with many colleagues, head teachers across the region and further afield about some of the things they're doing. I think one of the things that's come out of this experience for us all is that as a school, we're not as geared up, shall we say, as other schools in terms of e-learning. So I think that's something we need to work on in the future, certainly if this is going to stick around for a while longer. And I think something else that's come out, a reflection of mine, is that I don't think we've worked closely enough with parents, because I think that, I have to say I'm extremely grateful for some of the positive feedback I've had from parents this week. But what I've reflected on is the fact that we haven't necessarily helped you enough in the past, because you never had to, I guess, because what's happened is that the bulk of the learning in terms of academic success is done by the school. Parents have supported at home the child, but we've never had to go to the point where you've had to be the teacher at home, which is a huge task, I accept. I know some of you have lost loved ones and there's bereavements in the family, and you've had to contend with that, and then you've had to contend with your children being at home. And I know some parents have had to be furloughed, or some parents unfortunately lost their employment through this. So you've got an awful lot to juggle there. And then you've got to somehow school your child at home, which is a huge undertaking. And I think if this kind of situation, the social distancing stays, I think that the school has an obligation, and I want to make a commitment to parents to help them try and be more confident at home and able to support the child in their learning, because we can't physically be there. So we're going to do a bit of work on that as time goes on. But just this point around Teams, and I think that's something we could actually use with parents, and video streaming. A lot of our staff are using it now in the background, stay in touch with each other. I use it probably 3 times a day, and it's extremely useful. And we do want to use it with the students. The problem is that there's some kind of admin problem we've found, so we're trying to get that unblocked. I'm not sure why that is the case. So I just want to assure parents that those that are interested, we are working on a solution quickly, and then we can start getting some degree of kind of interaction, some kind of video streaming, so students can sit at home and they can see their own teacher talking to them. And I think that's something we're going to utilise. So yes, we're on for that. The next one is I want to thank parents as well for, all about parents this week. Sorry students. Thank parents for responding to my request last week around downloading the app and then passing that on to their friends. We're up to about nearly 90% of all parents or families have got access to the app. We know that some parents are still struggling with that, so we're finding some other solutions. I know that a number of our parents have got IT barriers. You know, they haven't got a device at home, or they've only got one device and they've got 2 children, and it gets very complicated. So we know that the government are trying to put together a package of support around laptops, either it be for free school meal children or for children with a social worker. So we're working on that, but we're also looking at some other solutions for children that don't necessarily qualify for additional help. And I know there's a number of families that are struggling at the minute. We're trying to find some practical solutions for you there. So please bear with us. But I think the main thing this week is to thank parents for the enormous flood of support for the school. What I've done is I've shared pretty much all of it with staff today, and it's a real pickup for the staff, I have to say, because many of the staff are in similar positions to you. You know, they're struggling with trying to balance work life and their own families, etc. And again, a number of my staff have lost loved ones during this crisis, and you know, we have to be sensitive to that as well. And it's been a real pickup. And you know, I take my children for a walk most days through Temple Moor, and I've seen a number of parents out walking a dog or being out just getting some fresh air, etc. And they've always taken the time to stop and chat to me, and I really appreciate that. My family does as well. It means an awful lot to have your support. And I said to you last week, I know we don't always get things right, but none of us have ever been in this situation, so we are going to get things wrong. But we are listening and we're trying to get things up to speed, and we can only do that with your support, and we know we got that. So thank you very much for that. Just talk about post-16 for a second. The grades that are going to be awarded to, the kind of estimates, this is mainly for year 13s, they are pretty much done now. They're just being quality assured in school and being checked. And the reason they have to be checked is because, I think I've said before, I have to sign those off. So if there's any inaccuracy in those, it'll be my fault. Okay, so I have to make sure that's absolutely watertight. And I don't want to jeopardise you or the school by overinflating grades and trying to cheat a system, because the exam boards are going to obviously then recalculate everything, and they'll do a distribution, okay, an even distribution which matches every other previous year. So we'll see how that works out. I'm not sure, but the last few years the school's done very well. And if they match it to the school, it should be a fair reflection of the work that you've done. So I'm hoping that the exam boards and Ofqual get that right. So as I say, my staff are working on that currently. We're going to get that squared away sometime next week. But as I say, we can't share those grades with you, as I said to you before, because they have to be then sent off to the exam boards and checked against the full data set across the country, which is going to be quite a complicated and complex job to do. Those students who are in year 11, this is kind of appeal to you. Those students that are planning on coming back to Temple Moor in sixth form, this applies to you, and also it applies to those students that are going to go on to sixth form colleges elsewhere. A kind of pieces of work are going to be put on class charts later next week, so you can look out for those. Now these are about your future. It's about to give you a sense of purpose and then give you something to work towards. It's a sort of bridging curriculum, so transition work to help you kind of engage with and get you ready for sixth form. So can you look out for that? That will be gratefully appreciated. And also in years 8 and 9, we're doing something similar for those students that are going to go on to GCSEs next year when they're in year 9 and year 10 in September. We've done a similar thing where we've put together a bridging curriculum. Now your options are pretty much done, so those options are going to come out in the next few days, so you'll know what options you've got, and then the work will come out in class charts. Now there's going to be no deadlines necessarily attached to these. These are about experiencing the subject, engagement with the subject, and it's about preparation for when you return to school. So please use those materials, because a lot of staff have put a lot of work into that to help you get ready for GCSEs the best way we think possible. And here's another message for year 10s. Those year 10s that have done early entry this year, so if you've done a GCSE, which is all of you, GCSE or BTEC, you'll have been entered this year. Now, we heard from Ofqual last few days that you will be provided an estimated grade in the same way that year 11s have and year 13s have. Now, you will get a grade based on your current performance in your subject and the work you've done so far, okay? Right, that means that you no longer have to study those subjects. So my advice to you is not to do those subjects anymore, is to concentrate on other subjects that will continue into next year. Okay, and you know what those are. Think about your core subjects and your other options and just focus your energies on those. You don't need to do your current year 10 GCSE BTEC that you would have got a result for this year. You don't have to do that any longer. Okay. Right, let's have a look. What else have we got to talk about? Right, just a quick one really. I mentioned before about students or parents being able to appeal the grades that come out, and you could possibly do a resit, and the likelihood is that resit, to-sit, should I say, the examination, would only be probably in November for English and Maths. That's what they're talking about currently. And again, this is speculation. Or you have the opportunity to sit your examination in the summer of 2021. Now, that's obviously entirely down to you, at your discretion. But just to be clear, the school only has so much control over those grades. The grades we put together, they'll be robustly checked, as I say, this week, signed off by myself, and then we put out into a larger data set across the country. And at that point, then it's ranked. And at that point, I don't have any more control over what kind of scores you're going to get. So just be minded that we'll have done what we can, but the examination boards will have the final say on the grade that you get, okay, compared to everybody else. So just be minded of that for future reference if you choose to go for an appeal, okay. Right, a couple of things before we wrap things up for this week, and I'll go into the second video. I'll obviously pause now and then go into the second video and do the quiz for people that are interested. There's a couple of other videos that are going to be put on the YouTube channel this week, which will be a video to commemorate VE Day, which is this weekend. So there's been a video put together by the history department, so if you look out for that, and also the pastoral team have put together a video. So you've got two other videos there, so you don't have to look at my leathery face all the time, and it'll give you a sense of the kind of things that teachers are up to and the other non-teaching staff have been up to, and how much we miss you all, and that is genuine. So if you can look out for those other videos, that'd be great. I'm going to try and make a conscious effort to do more of those to stay in touch with you. Right, I think that's it for now. Next week is going to be quite an important week, because I think definitively we'll know if we're going to be open or not and when that will take place. So I think next week's will be of interest. I will obviously send out details via the app, and I'll put things on the website as soon as I know, and I'll try and pull things together by next Friday so I've got a sense of where this might go. Or it might be that what they're going to do in Wales or in Scotland, which is unlikely to open schools the 1st of June. So we just don't know at the minute. But as soon as I know, you will know, because we'll all know at the same time. All I can say to you then is to stay safe and to look after yourself and each other. And I will see you again in 7 days' time. All the best, everybody. Bye-bye.